Throughout human history, there have been moments when individual choices have reshaped the course of society. However, perhaps no decision is more significant than the one we may soon face, whether to accept or reject the mark of the beast. This decision will not only affect our lives in the present, but will also have eternal consequences for our souls. In times of great turmoil, when the world is in chaos, will we be able to recognize and resist the temptation of this mark? And what will happen to those who cannot stand firm against the pressure? Let's begin by imagining a near future where accepting the mark of the beast is no longer a myth or religious metaphor, but a reality that is integrated into daily life. With this perspective, we'll delve deeper into the nature, significance, and consequences of accepting the mark. The context and significance of the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is not just a physical symbol, but a profound spiritual sign, as described in the book of Revelation, 13 through 16 to 17, where it is said to be placed on the right hand or forehead of those who receive it. This is not merely symbolic, it reflects a total commitment to the system of the beast, a system that stands in direct opposition to the values set forth by God. In many cultures, the right hand symbolizes action and power, while the forehead represents thought, consciousness, and belief. Therefore, the mark being placed on the right hand or forehead can be understood as a complete alignment of both action and thought with the beast system. The Bible explicitly states that this mark will become a requirement for participating in economic activities such as buying and selling. Revelation 13 through 17. This means that everyone, regardless of wealth or power, will be forced to accept the mark to survive in this world. However, this is not just an economic decision. It is a spiritual one, where accepting the mark means forsaking loyalty to God and committing to a system that opposes him. Historically, we've seen many examples of symbols and systems used to control and dominate people. For instance, during Nazi Germany, the swastika became a symbol of allegiance to the Nazi Party, and those who refused to conform were harshly persecuted. Similarly, the mark of the beast will become a symbol of compliance, and those who do not bear it will be ostracized from society, unable to lead normal lives. In the modern era, the mark of the beast might appear in various forms. With the advancement of technology, it could be a microchip implant, a digital identification system, or a high-tech application capable of controlling every aspect of human life. This makes recognizing the mark even more challenging, because many people may not realize they are committing to the beast until it is too late. Temptation and social pressure. In the context of modern society, the temptation to accept the mark of the beast will not only come from the need to survive, but also from social and psychological pressures. One of the biggest temptations will be the convenience and safety that the mark promises. When the entire economic and social system depends on possessing the mark, refusing it means isolating oneself from essential services, from buying food and water to accessing healthcare. Imagine a future where not having the mark means you can't purchase goods, own property, or even access public services. This is not just a material loss, but a direct threat to your safety and the survival of your family. Many will face difficult choices when deciding between protecting their loved ones and refusing the mark to remain faithful to God. History has shown that in times of crisis, people often turn to quick and easy solutions. For example, during the Great Depression of the 1930s, many people turned to extreme ideologies like fascism and communism as solutions to their problems. However, these choices often led to far worse outcomes than they had imagined. Similarly, accepting the mark of the beast might seem like a temporary solution to life's difficulties, but the price will be the eternal loss of one's soul. Social pressure will also play a significant role in driving people to accept the mark. Humans, by nature, are social creatures who tend to follow the crowd and conform to societal norms to avoid isolation or being seen as different. When society as a whole accepts the mark and considers it the norm, those who refuse will face criticism, judgment, and even violence from others. For example, in authoritarian societies, refusing to follow the regime's rules can lead to isolation, denial of services, and even arrest and torture. This is similar to the future scenario of refusing the mark of the beast, where such refusal will not only lead to social isolation, but also the loss of fundamental rights to survive. The consequences of accepting the mark. The consequences of accepting the mark of the beast go beyond material loss. They are profound and eternal. The Bible warns that those who accept the mark will face inevitable punishment from God. Revelation 14:9-10. This means that once someone accepts the mark, they will be subject to God's wrath without mercy. God's wrath is not only a punishment in this life, but also extends to the afterlife, where the soul of the person who received the mark will be condemned to eternal suffering and isolation from God. This is a severe penalty for those who have abandoned their faith in God to follow the temporary temptations of this world. Consider a specific biblical example of the consequences of betrayal and forsaking faith in God. In the story of Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, we see that his betrayal not only led to the death of Jesus, but also caused Judas to end his own life in despair and regret. This shows that the consequences of abandoning God are not only spiritual suffering, but also the loss of physical and mental well-being. In the context of accepting the mark of the beast, this betrayal is even more severe because it is not just a temporary act, but a permanent commitment to evil. Those who accept the mark are not only betraying God, but also forsaking the chance to be saved and to live in His peace. The importance of awareness and discernment. In an era where information is distorted and deception is widespread, maintaining awareness and correct discernment is crucial. We live in a world where technology has developed to the point where it can directly influence human thoughts and behavior, making recognizing the mark of the beast more difficult than ever. One of the biggest challenges we face is the development of new technologies like artificial intelligence, AI, blockchain, and microchip implants, technologies that have the potential to control every aspect of human life. With the advancement of technology, creating a global management system capable of monitoring and controlling every human action is no longer far-fetched. In this context, the mark of the beast could easily be disguised as a convenient technology, like a mobile app or an implant, that users don't realize is gradually controlling them and stripping away their personal freedom. A specific example of how technology can be abused to control people is China's social credit system. This system uses facial recognition technology and data from daily activities to assess citizens' compliance and loyalty to the state. Those with low scores can be restricted from accessing public services, jobs, and even travel. This is a sophisticated and comprehensive form of control, and if we are not vigilant, the mark of the beast could become part of such a system on a global scale. To avoid falling into the beast trap, everyone needs to equip themselves with knowledge and understanding of the potential dangers in the modern world. This includes not only understanding the Bible and its warnings about the mark of the beast, but also being aware of and understanding new technologies and how they can be used to control and deceive people. Another example is the development of cryptocurrencies and digital payment systems. These technologies offer convenience and security in transactions, but also carry the risk of becoming tools of control in the hands of those with malicious intent. Imagine a system where all financial transactions are monitored and controlled by a central organization, where refusing to comply with the system's rules leads to being cut off from all financial services. In this context, the mark of the beast could easily be imposed on people through mandatory regulations on the use of cryptocurrencies or digital payment systems. Warnings from the angels. The book of Revelation not only describes the mark of the beast, but also warns of the severe consequences of accepting it through the messages of 3 angels. These warnings are not just symbolic, but are powerful reminders of the inevitable punishment if people forsake their faith in God to follow the beast's temptations. The first angel comes to proclaim the eternal gospel and calls everyone to fear and worship God. This is a reminder of the importance of maintaining faith in God and not letting ourselves be swayed by the temporary temptations of the world. In today's age, where people are increasingly drifting away from religion and becoming engrossed in material values, the first angel's warning is more relevant than ever. The second angel announces the fall of Babylon, a symbol of the sinful world system. Babylon in the Bible is not just a city, but also a symbol of corruption and sin. The fall of Babylon is a warning that all that belongs to this world, no matter how glamorous or powerful, will ultimately be destroyed. This reminds us that we should not place our trust in the temporary and material values of this world, but seek the eternal values that belong to God. The third angel warns of God's wrath on those who worship the beast and accept its mark. This is the final and most severe warning, emphasizing that accepting the mark is not just a physical act, but the ultimate betrayal of God. Those who choose the beast will face eternal punishment, not only in this life, but also in the afterlife. These warnings represent God's grace and patience, as He does not desire anyone to suffer punishment, but He also cannot tolerate betrayal and the abandonment of faith in Him. God sent His angels to warn and remind humanity that salvation is still available to those willing to turn away from evil and return to Him. The importance of steadfastness and faith. When facing social pressure and temptation, steadfastness and faith in God will be the strength that helps us overcome all difficulties. In times when moral values are being tested, steadfastness and faith will become the deciding factor between maintaining our relationship with God and abandoning Him. The Bible repeatedly reminds us that in times of trouble, only steadfastness and firm faith can help us resist the temptations of the beast. In the modern world, being steadfast in faith and committed to God means not only adhering to religious principles, but also standing firm against the temptations of contemporary life. For example, when you face a situation where accepting the mark of the beast might bring short-term safety and convenience, steadfastness will help you recognize that these temporary benefits are insignificant compared to the eternal loss you will endure if you abandon your faith in God. A specific historical example of steadfastness can be seen in the early Christian martyrs during the Roman Empire. When Roman emperors demanded that all citizens worship Roman gods and renounce their faith in Jesus, many Christians faced torture and death for refusing to comply. Despite the threats and persecution, they held firm in their faith and did not renounce God, knowing that faith in God was an eternal value that could not be traded for anything else. In today's context, as social pressure and material temptations increase, steadfastness and faith in God are more important than ever. This is not just about following religious rules, but about protecting the soul and spirit from the dangers of accepting the mark of the beast. For example, in the modern business world, we often see people who are willing to abandon their ethical principles and religious beliefs to achieve material success and short-term gains. However, this success often comes at a very high price, as they gradually lose their peace of mind in their relationship with God. Steadfastness and faith in God will help us avoid these temptations and maintain lasting peace and happiness. The future of humanity and your choice. The future of humanity is not determined solely by major events, but also by the personal choices we make every day. When faced with the choice between accepting the mark of the beast and maintaining faith in God, we must carefully consider the consequences of each decision. The mark may offer short-term safety and convenience, but the cost is the eternal loss of the soul and separation from God. In a world increasingly driven by globalization and technological advancement, people are gradually being drawn into a system where everything is monitored and controlled. From financial transactions and personal information to daily movements and activities, all aspects of life can be surveilled and regulated by governments and organizations. In this context, refusing to participate in such a system could lead to social isolation and denial of basic services. This presents a significant challenge to anyone, especially when the safety and survival of oneself and one's family are at stake. However, we must remember that our future is not solely in the hands of governments and organizations. It is in our own hands. Each person has the right to choose the path they will take, and each decision we make can impact our fate in the afterlife. The question we must ask ourselves is, are we willing to forgo the temporary benefits of this world to protect our relationship with God and ensure eternal salvation? The answer will determine not only our fate in this world, but also in the world to come. It is crucial that we remain vigilant, steadfast, and not allow ourselves to be swayed by the temptations of this world. Remember, eternal salvation is the most valuable gift we can receive, and it depends on the choices we make in our daily lives. Conclusion: the mark of the beast is not just a physical sign, it is a spiritual choice that determines eternal fate. In a world filled with temptations and social pressure, we must remain vigilant, steadfast in our faith in God, and reject anything that goes against his teachings. Remember, eternal salvation is the most precious thing we can attain, and it depends on the choices we make in our daily lives. Our future is in our hands, and each of us has the power to choose the path we will walk, the path leading to salvation or the path leading to destruction.